The coalition government's National Development Plan 2025-2029 and Vision 2050 have been formulated as a blueprint for the nation's progress and prosperity. The plan is described as a pathway for empowering the people through unity, with the goal of ensuring that all citizens thrive in a dynamic and resilient economy. Key policies and strategies in the plan are reported to be drawn from the manifestos of the coalition partners. According to government, the National Development Plan places the people at the center of development and being described as the People's Plan, as it is the result of extensive consultations with individuals from all walks of life, including civil society organizations, industry groups, disciplined forces, academia, students, and faith-based organizations, all providing their input. These consultations aimed to understand the concerns of the people and gather their views and ideas.
The new National Development Plan is a big outcome of the coalition government. The plan is probably the most consulted, most widely consulted plan ever formulated in the history of this country. And that itself is a big achievement. So what we've done is we've got this 3-year, 5-year and 20-year plan. So in the 3-year and the 5-year plan, we are looking at the basics. So we want to get the basic infrastructure right, whether it's health, whether it's education, whether it's water, whether it's power. We want to get the basics right, whether it's drainage, whether it's building seawalls, whether it's rehabilitating land, ravaged by, salt water intrusion, inundation, the impact of climate change that we're seeing. So the first 3 years, and a lot of the things we have already started doing. For example, in the last budget, we have allocated close to about $6 million to provide boreholes throughout the country, 1,000 boreholes in Viti Levu, 500 in Banua Levu, and 200 in Maritime Islands to ensure that in the short term we are able to provide safe drinking water to our people. So that's an example of what we want to achieve in 3 years and 5 years.
As a result, the plan is set to reflect the aspirations, concerns, and desires of the population. And according to Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, the ultimate objective of the plan is to improve the social well-being and the achievement of sustainable prosperity for the people of Fiji.
To ensure that our people are looked after. So apart from increasing social welfare allowances, we have increased the national minimum wage in the last budget from $4 to $4.50 effective 1st of August. From 1st of April, we're going to have $5. We increased the salaries and wages of all civil servants and government workers. We have provided additional subsidies for non-sugarcane farmers, rice farmers. The price has been increased to $1,000. We're giving subsidies on fertilizer and weedicide to all other farmers, dalo, cassava, ginger, vegetable farmers. And this is all to raise people's income to mitigate the cost of living. So the first 3 years of the plan, which we have started implementing already, is designed to look after our people, to improve the basic services, to provide basic infrastructure.
The Minister for Finance highlighted that the government's formulation of a comprehensive 3-year, 5-year and 20-year development plan marks a significant achievement for the coalition government. The minister emphasized that these strategic growth policies, which have already begun to be implemented, are generating considerable confidence in the economy following the budget announcement. The goal is to transform the country into a high-income nation.
There's so much confidence. We revised the growth forecast from 2.8% to 3.8%. Investment lending has gone up by 25%. As I said on an update on the economy in Parliament. There are almost $1 billion worth of projects, ranging from small ones to big ones, from hotels to agriculture investments, that are already happening. There is a sense of confidence. Our consumption activity is also increased. So there is confidence across the economic sectors, across the population, amongst the investors, amongst the consumers. Our revenue target will be more than what we forecasted. And this would be a huge achievement also, in terms of our economic policies. So there is, to be in short, there is a lot of confidence because we have provided an open political environment. We have provided an approach where we are consulting the business. Our budgets are not a surprise. Our policies are not a surprise. And we have engaged the private sector, the business community in a big way.
According to Professor Biman Prasad, the coalition government has taken significant steps to ensure transparency and accountability in the implementation of the National Development Plan, measures that were previously absent. He emphasized that these actions not only promote good governance, but have also ushered in what he described as real democracy and real freedom.
The coalition government has provided an open political environment. One of the biggest achievements of this government under the Honorable Prime Minister Siti Rabuka is that we immediately abolished or removed the media, draconian media law. And now the media is free. We have created an open political environment. There is a lot more transparency and accountability. We give out information to the opposition in a very liberal way, as opposed to what we faced when we were in opposition. We put out details of our expenditure, on a regular basis. For example, when we went to COP29, before we went, we provided exact details of the delegation, who was funding it, how much it was going to cost to the government. Did you ever hear about that kind of transparency and accountability, under the previous government? None, absolutely none. But as a government, we keep talking to the media. We keep putting out information. We don't go on the defensive all the time. Our Prime Minister has been very liberal with the media. And then sometimes the media has abused some of those information, by exaggerating and misinterpreting, what ministers have said. No minister shies away from the media. I don't shy away from the media. So this is the difference that people must realize. And some people have gotten so used in the last 2 years with the freedom that they've actually forgotten what they had before we came into government. And to me, that's one of the biggest achievements of this government. We have brought real democracy. We have brought real freedom.
Key contributors to employment, value creation, and often termed as the turbine of the economy, the micro, small, medium enterprises play a vital role in national development by encouraging innovation, driving economic growth, and promoting cultural diversity. However, the sector continues to face challenges, including limited access to affordable and timely financing, difficulties in adopting technology due to capacity constraints, barriers to market access for vulnerable and marginalized groups, and burdensome regulatory procedures. The National Development Plan aims to improve access to finance for micro, small, and medium enterprises, while at the same time promoting the digitization of these businesses to further advance their growth and sustainability.
The NDP provides a framework, and I must say that the Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Manuakam Kamida, has provided excellent leadership in that area, and obviously there are lots happening with the small and medium enterprises. We've allocated appropriate budgets. The NDP provides a framework, has targets, has implementation plans, and so small medium enterprises are very important in the overall economic ecosystem. A large percentage of the jobs that are created, sometimes we think they are small, but if you add all the jobs and the economic activity that small medium enterprises provide, it is quite significant. So the NDP provides a framework to provide additional subsidies, support.
Fiji confronts numerous challenges in adapting to climate change and safeguarding the environment. However, it also holds significant opportunities to strengthen resilience through the strategic development of climate-resilient and green infrastructure, as well as by integrating natural systems into urban planning and development. The NDP contains specific strategies that will be implemented to enhance economic resilience against natural disasters and climate change.
That's a big agenda for the government. As you see, we have ensured that our National Development Plan, provides that framework. So climate change cuts through all the sectors of the economy. So anything that we want to build now, whether we build a school, whether we build a health center, whether we're building seawalls, whether we are fixing our drainage, roads, water supply, all these things have to be climate resilient. And we are working very hard to ensure that we have access to climate finance to do that. And we are building resilience in the community by ensuring that we are ready also to support people during times of disaster. So apart from the inbuilt budget within the national budget, such as additional funding for the Ministry of Rural, Maritime and National Disaster Management Ministry, where if there is a disaster, the quick response, whether it's to do with ration, whether it's to restore, people's, safety, evacuation, all these things are provided for, built in the budget. Additionally, we have standby financing facility from the Japanese government. In case we get hit by a major disaster, a flood or a cyclone, we can invoke, the agreement, the availability of that finance immediately to support the communities, build resilience, build the infrastructure that would be damaged. And so we as a government, we are ready.
Rural and outer island development is a key priority for the coalition government, driven by the need to advance infrastructure and implement coherent long-term development strategies aimed at bridging the inequality gap between rural and urban areas. Under the National Development Plan, important steps have been mapped out to address existing disparities when it comes to development and access to services.
As I said, that was another big issue that we inherited, and if you will notice that we are trying to improve the rural infrastructure, rural roads, drainage, water supply. And as I said, in the last budget, we put in additional funding, both within the Ministry of Agriculture and Waterways, as well as within the Ministry of Sugar, to undertake, extensive drainage work. We've done that in a number of rice-growing areas, including Ducati, parts of Banu Lebu in the Western Division, so that we provide those basic infrastructure for our rural people to stay there and engage and improve their economic livelihood. And in the last 2 years, we have done that in a significant way. Additionally, as I said, we have provided close to about $6 million in the last budget to provide, boreholes, and these are mostly for rural, maritime. We have built a number of schools in Vanuatu in the last 1 year with the support of the Australian government, and I want to thank His Excellency Ewan MacDonald, the Australian government, and the Australian High Commission here for really, stepping up and taking the lead in building some of the schools that were damaged during Cyclone Yasa and have not been built over the years, and we have in the last 1 year built a number of schools that are ready, that are good, and the students and the teachers and the parents feel that this is what. So we are focusing in a big way. Vanuatu is another focus that we provided, and today I must say that in the last 2 years the deliberate policy actions of the government in terms of improving infrastructure has seen Vanuatu booming now. We signed the $400 million Vanuatu tourism development project. That's already started. There is an upgrade of the 2 airports already happening, and so that gap between rural urban, Vanuatu versus Viti maritime versus main island, is something that we have focused in a big way. And in 2 years, if you add what I've just said, amongst other things, we have done a lot. We have done a lot. But as I said, there is a lot more to be done.
The National Development Plan prioritizes the achievement of key sustainable development goals and actively encourages collaboration with development partners to fulfill Fiji's international obligations, ensuring that national strategies are effectively aligned with global sustainability targets. This is to ensure Fiji derives all the benefits available from international engagements and that the country's development trajectory is in sync with global sustainability efforts.
The National Development Plan aligns very well with our foreign policy white paper, which has been already launched by the Honorable Prime Minister, and that the two documents, support the overall our foreign policy, our development, our global agenda, our development agenda, and how it is linked, and particularly how we can accelerate achieving the sustainable development goals. As you know, COVID put the implementation of the achievements or the meeting the targets in the SDGs back. And so many of the SDG targets in many countries would not be met, and Fiji would not be an exception. But the National Development Plan focuses on key sectors, key SDGs, health, education, general well-being, reduction of poverty, improvement in our infrastructure, and engagement with our international partners to ensure that Fiji derives all the benefits that a country like ours could get from our international engagement. And I think we have done very well in the last 2 years. The Honourable Prime Minister has provided leadership within the Pacific. The forum is much more united now. partly because of his efforts right at the beginning when we came into government. And we are providing that leadership not only within the Pacific, but in many ways at the global level. And we played a very important role at COP29 as part of SITS, as part of AOSIS. And I must say, if we were not there, we probably would not have an agreement that we had, not the best, but an agreement that will allow Fiji to be able to access tangible and appropriate financing that is available as part of climate finance.
While the tourism sector remains at the forefront of Fiji's economic growth, the coalition government is also prioritizing the diversification of the economy into other promising sectors, with the potential to generate substantial revenue and enhance long-term economic resilience.
What we are doing now is, while our tourism is the key driver of our economic growth, our tourism numbers have gone up by about 6%, contrary to projections that were made last year. And we expect tourism to grow because we can see quite a bit of investments, hotel and others also taking place. We are going to fly to Dallas, which is a new American destination, and we expect more tourists. So while tourism is up there, leading our economic growth, we are also focusing on diversifying our economy. And you can see that in the last two budgets as a government, we have focused clearly on the agriculture sector, and I can see our agriculture sector picking up, our fisheries and forestry sectors. We've just approved the aquaculture bill, which was pending for many years. That, in our view, could spur, economic activity within the fisheries and aquaculture sector. BPOs, we are working very hard. We are providing the appropriate incentives. BPO sector is growing. In fact, we are a 10th most favorable destination for BPOs in this country. And now with the investment by Google and the improvement in the connectivity, we expect BPOs to be set up in Banu Lewu as well. Apart from that, we think that further investment in agriculture, in commercial agriculture, provides us with a huge potential. So there are a number of areas, a number of sectors that the government is providing incentives, support, so that we are able to diversify our economy and not just be dependent solely on tourism. And that's our strategy as part of the National Development Plan.
According to the Minister for Finance, the National Development Plan will promote commercial agriculture for key commodities by improving access to land and financing, as well as encouraging the adoption of modern technology and mechanization. This approach is a critical component of the integrated strategy within the National Development Plan, designed to achieve targets and drive growth within the agricultural sector.
Well, the NDP provides a very clear guideline, targets, objectives. So there are two components, when we talk about our natural resources, fisheries, forestry. We want to improve our value adding. We don't just want companies and businesses to extract, resources without, there's this huge opportunity to add value to our mahogany, to our, native forest, to pine, etc. And fisheries, we have to ensure that we engage in sustainable fisheries management, particularly our coastal fisheries, and improve development of farming practices which are sustainable, which allows, there are policies already there, for example, banning, harvest of species, at certain times of the year. So all this is part of the integrated strategy and plan within the National Development Plan to achieve targets within those resource sectors. but there's a huge potential there.
The National Development Plan is designed to be inclusive, ensuring that everyone benefits from the nation's progress and prosperity. This aligns with the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, aimed at leaving no one behind.